Hello students. Today my topic of discussion is semiconductor materials and PN junction diode, which comes in the subject Analog Electronics 1 in the Diploma course of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering in its third semester, and also in the Fundamental of Electronics in the Diploma course of Mechanical Engineering in the third semester. Let us see the lecture outline. First of all, I will tell you how can we define a semiconductor, then its classifications. Then I will tell you about the electrical properties of a semiconductor, then description of atomic structure and electronic configuration of a semiconductor, and I will be ending up with energy band diagrams of semiconductor, metal and insulator. What is a semiconductor? A semiconductor is a material which is neither a good conductor nor a bad conductor of electricity. That is, the conductivity of a semiconductor is in between that of a metal and an insulator. That is, the conductivity of a semiconductor is in between the conductivity of the metal and the conductivity of an insulator. Let us see some important examples of metal and insulator. Here you can see gold, silver, aluminium. They are very common metals. But besides this, there are many other metals like copper, indium, iron and many more. Let us now see some examples of insulator, that is, bad conductor of electricity. You can see here rubber, wood, plastic. These are very common examples of bad conductor of electricity or insulators. Apart from this, there are other examples too, like ceramic and many more. Now, let us see the classification of semiconductor. That is, what are the different types of semiconductor? Broadly, semiconductor can be classified into two types. First one is intrinsic type of semiconductor, which is the pure form of a semiconductor. Second one is the extrinsic type of semiconductor, which is the impure form of the semiconductor. Further, the extrinsic type of semiconductor can be classified into two types, that is p-type and n-type. Now, how can we define intrinsic type of semiconductor? It is a type of semiconductor which is in pure form, that is undoped form. That is, for example, if we are taking silicon, then within the silicon there are only silicon atoms. Or if we are taking germanium, then there are only germanium atoms. Here you can see the electrical conductivity of an intrinsic semiconductor is low, and it is solely determined by the thermally generated charge carriers. Thermally generated means these are the charge carriers which are generated due to the increase in temperature. Generally, at absolute zero temperature, that is at 0 Kelvin temperature, the conductivity of a semiconductor is 0. That is, a semiconductor behaves as a bad conductor of electricity or insulator at 0 Kelvin temperature. But Generally, we use the semiconductor at room temperature, that is at 27 degrees centigrade, or if we convert 27 degrees centigrade into Kelvin, then it is 300 Kelvin. That is 27 degrees centigrade plus 273, that is 300 Kelvin. Or if the temperature is even more than this, there will be thermally generated charge carriers, which are actually responsible for the conductivity in the intrinsic type of semiconductor. Now let us see the extrinsic type of semiconductors basic definition. The electrical conductivity of an intrinsic type of semiconductor, that is, I told you that the electrical conductivity of an intrinsic type of semiconductor is very poor, is very low. So we have to increase the conductivity of the material. This can be done by adding impurity atoms. That is, intentionally we are adding the impurity atoms in order to increase the conductivity of the material. Here you can see the electrical conductivity can be improved by adding suitable impurity atoms in a very small proportion, say 1 million parts during the crystal growth. That is, when the semiconductor is manufactured, the impurity atoms have been added. This process of adding the impurity atoms is called doping. This process of adding the impurity atoms is called doping. When an intrinsic semiconductor is doped, it becomes an extrinsic type of semiconductor. Within the name extrinsic, you can see the word EXT, that is, we have added impurity atoms externally. When an intrinsic semiconductor is doped, it becomes extrinsic type of semiconductor. Now, elemental and compound semiconductors. That is, we can also classify semiconductor depending on its composition as elemental and compound semiconductors. Here you can see elemental semiconductor. It is a type of semiconductor which is composed of one element. For example, silicon, germanium. Compound semiconductor. It is a type of semiconductor which is composed of more than one element. For example, cadmium sulfide, zinc sulfide, gallium phosphide. All these are binary compounds. Why? Because they are consisted of two elements. Now let us see some example of ternary compounds. That is, the semiconductors which are composed of three elements: gallium arsenide phosphide, aluminium gallium arsenide, and many others. Quaternary compound, that is a type of semiconductor which is consisted of four elements: indium gallium arsenide phosphide. They have many applications. One of the very common application of such compound semiconductors are solar cells, that is photovoltaic cells, and light emitting diodes. Now let us understand the electrical properties of a semiconductor. The first one is the resistivity of a semiconductor varies widely in the range of, this range is very important, in the range of 10 to the power minus 5 to approximately 0.5 ohm meter. That is 10 to the power minus 4 to 5 into 10 to the power minus 1 ohm meter approximately. Okay, though the variation can be even much wider. Okay. Second one, That is, from this point we can understand that the resistivity of a semiconductor is not fixed. It can vary depending on different conditions. One of the very common condition is doping. That is, depending on the doping concentration, the resistivity of a semiconductor can vary. Depending on the temperature of annealing, that is, depending on the temperature of heat treatment. If we heat a semiconductor, then also the resistivity of a semiconductor will vary. Second point, a semiconductor possesses a negative temperature coefficient of resistance. That is, the resistance of a semiconductor decreases with the increase in temperature. This point is very important. That is, negative temperature coefficient means, the word negative indicates, that is, if the temperature will increase, the resistivity of a semiconductor decreases. Or if the temperature decreases, then the resistivity or the resistance of a semiconductor increases. That is, they are inversely related to each other. Temperature and resistance, or temperature and resistivity, they are inversely related in case of a semiconductor. However, for a metal, if the temperature increases, the resistivity also increases. That is, a metal has a positive temperature coefficient of resistance. Just remember it for knowledge. Third point, the resistivity of a semiconductor also varies upon illumination. That is, if we put light on a semiconductor, then also the resistivity will vary. The resistance of the material will vary. With the increase in light intensity, the resistivity of a semiconductor decreases. The resistivity, the fourth point, the resistivity also depends upon the magnitude of the applied electric field. That is, if we apply voltage, then also the resistivity will change. That is, resistivity also changes under the application of the electric voltage. There is electric field under the application of voltage. The last point, the resistivity of a semiconductor changes considerably upon doping. That is, with the addition of impurity atoms in the material, even in a minute quantity. That is, if we increase the doping concentration, as I told you a while ago, that is, if we increase the doping concentration, what is doping concentration? That is the amount of the impurity atoms, dopant, we are adding per unit volume into the semiconductor. If this amount will be more, then obviously the resistivity decreases. Okay, these are very common, very important and common properties of a semiconductor. Now let us see and understand the atomic structure of a particular type of semiconductor. I have considered here an elemental semiconductor, that is silicon. Here you can see it is the atomic structure, as the atomic number of silicon is 14. So here is the electronic configuration, and the outermost orbit contains 4 electrons. As I hope you know, that is, as the number is 14, so it will be divided. That is, in the innermost orbit there will be 2 electrons. In the second innermost orbit there will be 8 electrons, and the remaining will be in the outermost orbit. And the electrons which are present in the outermost orbit, they are called the valence electrons, as you can see here. These valence electrons are very important because these electrons actually participate in the current conduction process. They are actually responsible for the current flow in the material. Here you can see the covalent bonding of silicon atoms. as you know, a material does not have a single atom, cannot have a single atom within it, because a material is consisted of many atoms, as you can see here. In case of a silicon semiconductor, a silicon is a solid material, so it is consisted of many atoms together. They are bonded together so that they are not detaching from each other. They are bonded with each other. Okay, and this bonding is covalent bonding. You can see here this bonding is a covalent bonding. And as it is sharing, as you can see, this atom of silicon is sharing an electron with its adjacent atom, which is also a silicon atom. So both of them are sharing the same type of entities, that is electrons, forming a covalent bond. And overall you can see all the atoms, as there are 9 atoms are shown here, but practically a solid like silicon is consisted of many lakhs and lakhs of atoms within it. So let us see the first point, that is silicon is referred to as a tetravalent atom because here you can see there are 4 electrons. Each atom has 4 electrons and each atom has 4 covalent bonds with the adjacent atoms. Silicon, so we can say silicon is referred to or known as tetravalent atoms, or it is because it is consisted of tetravalent atoms because each atom has 4 valence electrons. Here each atom has, this line should be corrected, that is each atom has 4 valence electrons. So it is called tetravalent, right? Now second point, a bonding of atoms strengthened by sharing the electrons. Obviously, if there will be no bond, then all the atoms will be detached from each other. Then obviously the silicon will not be able to remain in solid form. The covalent bond is the main cause behind. Third point, it is possible for the valence electrons to absorb sufficient kinetic energy from natural causes to break the covalent bond and assume the free state. That is, the valence electrons you are seeing here can absorb energy, maybe in the form of temperature, maybe in the form of light, maybe in the form of electric field, and by absorbing the kinetic energy from those energy sources, it will become free and will be considered as the free electrons. As you know, only the free electrons are responsible for the current conduction process. Last point, such natural causes may be light energy or thermal energy. Now let us see, as you can see here, that the electrons are going out of the covalent bond. Why it is going out? That is, the covalent bond has been broken due to the application of the energy, that is, I have already told you, in the form of temperature, light or electric field. That is, those electrons are becoming the free electrons. Here you can see the points. An increase in temperature of a semiconductor can cause a substantial increase in conductivity of the material, and the electrons which are produced due to the change in temperature, due to the increase in temperature, they are called the thermally generated carriers. Second point, at absolute zero temperature, that is 0 Kelvin temperature, as you know, 0 Kelvin temperature is considered as the absolute temperature. A semiconductor at this temperature behaves as a bad conductor of electricity, that is, behaves as an insulator. Now here you can see the atomic structure of germanium also. I've already told you about the atomic structure of silicon. For germanium, the atomic number is 32. As you can see here. So 32, so it will be divided in this manner, that is 2 in the most innermost orbit, and then it has 8, then it has 18 electrons, and finally it has 4 electrons in its outermost orbit. So the valency of both silicon and germanium, both are 4. Now, so here you can see the energy band diagrams of insulator, semiconductor and metal, that is conductor. Now I will illustrate, that is how we can draw the energy band diagram. This energy band diagram is also known as EX diagram, E for energy. I will illustrate the process in the second segment of this lecture. And here you can see, just note it, here you can see the gap between these two levels, that is the conduction band and the valence band, is quite a large. Whereas in case of a metal, there is no gap between the conduction band and the valence band. They actually overlap. And in case of a semiconductor, the band gap is less than the band gap of an insulator, but greater than the band gap of a conductor. So it actually signifies that a semiconductor behaves, or its conductivity is in between that of an insulator and a conductor, that is metal. I will illustrate the process of drawing the energy band diagram in the second segment of this part of lecture. Okay, thank you.